Hello everyone, the Crime Life channel is with you. These events took place in Sycamore, Illinois. At that time, residents rarely locked the front doors of their houses. Children quietly walked alone on the street, and local residents knew each other since childhood. On December 3, 1957, the life of Sycamore and its 7,000 inhabitants changed forever. That Tuesday in December began for second graders Maria Ridulf and Katie Sigmund like any other day, with lessons at school. It was cold and it was snowing heavily. After school, they went home to cut snowflakes out of paper. At 17:30, the girls went out for a walk together. They were playing 60 meters from Maria's house when a handsome young man approached them. Katie remembered his narrow face, big teeth, and high, thin voice. Well, she had never seen him before. He asked if they wanted to ride on his back and said his name was Johnny. He was 24 years old and lived nearby. The girls gladly agreed. Maria then went to her house at 616 Archie Place to get the doll to show it to her new friend. Katie stayed outside with Johnny. He asked her if she wanted to walk around the block or take a ride in a car or bus. At that moment, the girl felt something was wrong. She refused. Maria told her parents about her new friend and that she wanted to take out her favorite doll. Her mother advised her not to stay too long because it was snowing heavily. 5 minutes later, Maria returned. Katie, under the pretext of changing wet mittens, decided to run home. She asked Maria several times to go with her, but she refused. Katie Sigmund chose the mittens that actually saved her. When Katie returned a few minutes later, Maria and Johnny were gone. Katie ran to the Ridulfs' house to tell them she couldn't find Maria. At first, the parents thought that Maria was hiding in the forest and sent Maria's 11-year-old brother to look for her. After he couldn't find her, the Ridulfs called the police. After 30 minutes, police and armed civilians began searching the city and the forest area. 2 days later, the FBI arrived in Sycamore to assist the local police in the search. The FBI and police interviewed numerous witnesses who saw the two girls playing together from 6 p.m. to 6:25 p.m. It was believed that Johnny appeared after 6:25 p.m., and the FBI concluded that Maria disappeared between 6:40 p.m. and 7:55 p.m. In the center is an elm tree on the corner where the girls met Johnny. Maria's house on Archie Place is on the right. Katie Sigmund was the only witness who saw Johnny, so the police initially believed that the girls were planning a prank and Maria was hiding somewhere. But too many hours had passed, the temperature outside was falling, and the snowfall had intensified. In late December 1957, Katie was taken to the Dane County Sheriff's Office in Madison, Wisconsin, to show her possible suspects. The girl pointed to Thomas Joseph Rivard, described in FBI documents as a 35-year-old man with dark brown wavy hair. On April 26, 1958, near the town of Woodbine, Illinois, about 120 kilometers from Sycamore, two local residents who were looking for mushrooms in a wooded area along the highway discovered a terrible find. The body was identified as Maria Ridulf, based on dental records, as well as the shirt and socks she was wearing on the day of her disappearance. The rest of Maria's clothes, including her coat, trousers, and shoes, have never been found. Since the crime occurred in Illinois and not outside the state, the FBI dropped the case, leaving it to the local police. Due to the condition of the body, the cause of death could not be determined. John Cherry was born on November 27, 1939 in Belfast, Northern Ireland. During the war, his mother, Eileen Cherry, worked as a spotter in the Royal British Air Force and met Ralph Tessier, who served in the U.S. Army. She married him in November 1944, and after the war, she and her son John, then 7 years old, followed Ralph to Sycamore, Illinois. In the following years, Ralph and Eileen had 6 more children. After his mother's marriage, John took the surname Tessier. On December 4th, investigators visited Tessier's house as part of the search for Maria. According to Tessier's stepsisters, Catherine and Jeanne, their mother told investigators that John Tessier was at home in the evening and at night on December 3rd, which, as they later stated, was not true. Tessier served in the U.S. Armed Forces and rose to the rank of captain. After leaving the service, he moved to Seattle, Washington, where he graduated from the King County Law Enforcement Academy in June 1974 and became a police officer. He later joined the police department in Milton, Washington. In 1997, a Sycamore police lieutenant closed a 40-year-old case, naming William Henry Redmond, a local truck driver who died in 1992, as responsible for what happened to Maria Ridulf. His report has been criticized due to the lack of supporting evidence and alleged motives. The lieutenant himself admitted that the evidence against Redmond was circumstantial and that if Redmond had been alive, it would have been impossible to convict him if he had not confessed himself. The case was reopened in 2008 based on new information from John Tessier's half-sister Janet. According to her, their mother Eileen Tessier, before her death in January 1994, said, "John did it. It was him, and you have to tell someone." At that time, John Tessier changed his name to Jack McCullough. Janet also said that she had heard from her older sisters that Eileen had lied to investigators about her son being at home that evening. McCullough's other half-sister, Mary Pat Tessier, was also present when Eileen talked to Janet. She said her mother only said, "He could have done it." At that time, Eileen was very ill and, due to taking medication, sometimes said incoherent things. Hoping that Katie Sigmund, at that moment she was carrying her husband's surname Chapman. If they can identify John Tessier from a photograph, the police requested the Sycamore High School archive for 1957, but John Tessier's photo was not there because he was excluded. The police received a photo from his ex-girlfriend. Sigmund recognized John on it. Along with the photo, Tessier's ex-girlfriend provided an unused train ticket from Rockford to Chicago, dated December 1957. It turned out that John Tessier went to Rockford not by train but by his car, and then, theoretically, he could commit a crime and drive to Rockford in 25-30 minutes. In July 2011, the Seattle Police Department summoned Tessier, who was living in a nursing home at the time, for questioning. When they started asking him questions about the 54-year-old case, John Tessier became aggressive and began to evade answers. After Tessier stopped answering any questions, he was arrested and extradited to Illinois. The news of the arrest in the 54-year-old case attracted the attention of the whole country. The chief prosecutor, Clay Campbell County State's attorney, did not want to take on the case because of its prescription and the lack of any physical evidence linking Tessier to the crime. Since he was under pressure from the Ridulf family and Katie Sigmund, who managed to give interviews to news outlets, Campbell officially accused Tessier of a crime. On September 14, 2012, John Tessier was found guilty in the Maria Ridulf case and received a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 20 years. He was 73 years old at the time of sentencing. Tessier has never pleaded guilty. On April 12, 2013, at the Court of Appeal, Tessier was found not guilty due to the lack of direct evidence of his guilt in committing a crime and released in the courtroom.